Well, I'm going to bring it to order just the same. Bring the Daytona Beach Redevelopment Board, Downtown Redevelopment Board to order. And then the first thing is roll call.
Tibor Benke, Pete Zahn,
Here.
Freddie Smith-Friend, Cheryl Cook,
Here.
James Newman,
Present.
Jake Nicely,
Here.
John Campchin, Kenneth Hunt.
Those that aren't here get elected to positions. And the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have minutes from May 22nd, or May 2nd, 2023.
Since there is not a quorum, we can't approve them. You can't take any kind of official action. You can have the presentation. Staff can bring you up to date, but there's no official actions.
Then we will continue the approval of the minutes until the next time. Election of chair and vice chair. Anybody want to volunteer?
Again, because there is not a quorum,
It takes a
We-
vote and a motion. Okay.
yes, sir, so there's no, that'll have to be
All right, well-
postponed.
How about a police report?
He's not here. I don't think he's here. He confirmed, but he might have gotten caught up.
Maybe got his days mixed up. Along with everybody else. Okay, bring on the presentations.
No presentations.
No presentation.
But I do have one item that Mrs. Cook had brought up about framework property. Last week, I had an opportunity to talk with the project manager and explain to him that we're happy for the development, but we would like for them to clean up the site. And so he was going to communicate that with the on-site manager to clean it up. And of course, he said, this is a construction site, and I says, yeah, I agree, but if you can tidy the place up a little bit for us, we would really appreciate it.
I haven't noticed any construction yet, though. I've seen the fences.
Yeah, that's what we're all waiting for, is to see them actually building something on it.
But their site plan has
So
not
in the
been approved,
meantime-
right?
Right, yeah.
And since the park, the Esplanade is over there and there's activities going on, I think it's a good idea to keep that. That's a good
Yeah, he understood. He understood that we want to,
I mean, just-
as much as we can, keep the place decent, so it doesn't look as though it's abandoned.
Thank you for doing
Yeah,
that.
so we'll keep in contact with them periodically.
There have been a couple of recent wind events that have blown their fencing down. And I wonder if there's someone, who do we contact to let them know to come out and restore their fencing? Because the first one, it sat for some time before they came out, and I know it's temporary fencing, but it was out
Right.
in the middle of Michigan, so.
Usually when there's a site plan been approved, there's a pre-construction meeting, and in the pre-construction meeting, there's all of those contacts who the site
Yeah.
GC is going to be. So there should be contacts and protocols set up for that.
There is an on-site person, but we contacted the project manager, so we went a little higher, and the project manager is, communicating with the site guy, but we'll make sure we get the, actually, we know who the site manager is, because they also are requested to use city property to do some of their storing of equipment. Yeah, their construction trailer. So,
Okay. Well, how about staff reports? We just had a partial staff report. Anything you want to, I see you've got a list of what's going on, which is pretty.
the building, I don't know if you all noticed, but the BMW shop, did Bo put it out on the list yet? I think it's out for sale now, But they are planning on moving. The BMW shop there,
That's at the corner of Fairview and,
and Beach, you're right.
Do they have, are they moving because it's sold and there's a new owner, or because they're moving to another facility and this will go up for sale?
I got the impression when we had our meeting with the broker was that they were looking for a site to be more accommodating. They had some flooding issues. They've been having flooding issues for a number of years.
Yeah,
And so
part of the Beach Street.
I believe they're found a more convenient site for them.
Okay.
Yeah, I read an article, I think in the Hometown News, that said they were moving to another location, that they would be moving out of there.
We've done some conceptual work for Eton Schlackett, Planet Granite. And he's been acquiring several properties along Blue and Beach. So he may be, if the price is right, interested in something down there, because
Yeah.
we've done an overall, in fact, you were in a meeting where we were doing some overall planning.
Right.
Into town. So he might find that of interest. Someday, something's gonna happen at that end, because that's the last outlier for the city of Daytona.
Yeah. Well, the Blue Road CRA in particular, we can stand some new development there, and some of our conversation that we had with the broker and we want to have with the property owners is, what can we do to eliminate the drainage problem? You know, I don't know how much we can do with the existing
Brown and
buildings, but if
brown.
you build new,
Oh, yeah.
we certainly need to change the elevation, the stem wall, when that occurs.
Right.
And could the CRA participate too as well? So,
do we have an update on the old Woolworths building on the corner?
yeah, we've been playing phone tag and haven't been able, we talked about that today, trying to get a meeting, if not with us, bring them and see if they want to come and have a conversation with our board here. But that's something we've been working on for the last couple months.
So Tim Majors went to foreclosure or something, and new people have come in and purchased it from him? Is that right? We think? We don't know?
It was sold by the bank, right? And
Oh, yeah, it
person
was
has
sold,
yeah.
right. And we did get a call that we had a meeting set up, the meeting was canceled. We called back to have another meeting, that meeting was canceled. So we don't know what's happening.
I thought I saw something going on. The windows upstairs had gone down and looked like maybe somebody was in there looking around, but there could be a lot of interior planning going on that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
You know?
They were doing work in there, and it stopped.
Right.
They were going gangbusters for a couple of weeks in there, and I don't know what happened.
That's when they got a stop work order because they quit.
Hmm.
So, but like Cheryl, I drive by there every morning going to work.
Mhm.
And so I was watching whenever there was something going on.
Yeah.
And then our company had done some initial work when they first was looking at, were looking at doing something with the building.
Mhm.
Then they had a big group, big plans.
Right. We're also working on, we have these restaurants, these cafes on Beach Street. Angela's working on the sidewalk cafe agreements. We have to, we've been, legal has told us what we need to do as it relates to what we charge a person for these sidewalk cafes, because everybody who has a table out there needs to have a license agreement, and they don't. So, and they need to adhere to the design criteria too as well, because
So they're using public.
some of them you
property,
cannot
public
get
right of
by when you're walking down the sidewalk.
Gotcha.
And there needs to be a diligence on the restaurant owner or whomever is proprietor to clean up too as well. So I think that I really want to make sure that when we do issue these licenses, that they adhere to the maintenance of the sidewalks.
How do you enforce that?
Well, we take pictures
Yeah.
of before and
Is the fee
after.
associated with it? They pay a monthly, fee for a lease agreement, or?
In the past, they paid one fee up front, and that was it. And I believe, Angela, that was $1
Yeah,
Okay.
per square foot.
per square foot, yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm
And say,
not
we
saying
can't
support it, to bring
arbitrarily,
it- The more business, the better.
yeah. We don't want to we don't want to prevent them from not, operating, but we need some uniformity of what we're doing.
McKay stays busy, Sweet Marley's, the Italian place.
Mhm.
They're the only ones I've noticed at this, that end that are.
Well, the
Continually.
Mexican restaurant. the
Where?
Senior,
Senior.
Senoritas?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just hadn't noticed any outdoor on that one, driving by.
Oh, yeah, they have tables and chairs outside consistently. Mhm.
But you can get around theirs.
Yes,
You can walk
exactly.
past there.
Yeah,
There are a couple of them that
They do
you
a
feel
good
like you're
job
walking
of-
through the middle of the dining room, and if there's people coming the other way, you have to wait. There's not enough space for people to go
Right.
in two directions. So, and I won't name them, but I'm sure you know who they are.
oh, yeah, we know who they are. Yeah,
Down near the museum.
Probably.
one thing that, we had a police officer come in, so it was the end of last week. And he was handing out flyers to the business owners that were down there. And he said that finally they are able to start having more people down there, and that there's 2 of them, and they're working like 12-hour shifts. And that they gave out a brochure that was trying to just get business owners to be able to be a little more proactive in watching different things. And I had quite a long talk with him about, look, we've got the lady that we've all trespassed on the bicycle again, and you got to find her because we've got her picture along the whole street. Everybody's already trespassed her, and she's out there messing with the, he said, well, the only thing about that, we have to see him panhandle. And I said, well, we can take lots of pictures, we can do everything else. But the man
Right.
was finally just saying that, hey, we're really trying now. We realize there's some issues on Beach Street.
Right.
So I was very complimentary of him and thanked him very much for doing
Yeah.
it. Had all the employees read it. He gave me some extras that if a business was closed and they couldn't get one. So
right.
thought that was a good sign.
Yeah, I've heard that they're beefed up their presence, but things seem to be going pretty well now since then. Okay. Good.
Anything?
Have we had any issues with parking?
I have it.
Okay.
We really haven't in ours. Are we gonna get that big container out of our parking lot, though? that
It's gone.
housed Is it gone?
Yeah.
It didn't come in that way this morning. so-
Yeah, it's
Oh.
gone. It hadn't been out there in a
We had
while.
Meeting today, and it was gone this morning, probably.
Oh,
You mean up on ISB and,
no, the one in the parking lot that held all the stuff for the farmer's market that was in the back of our jewelry store parking lot.
oh, okay.
That big container that she used for the farmer's market.
Oh, that container.
Yeah, that one. No, I know the one on Beach Street's gone, thank
Right.
goodness. So, but it's a kind of a big one back there.
Yeah, we have to figure out where it's going, because it has quite a bit of stuff in there. It has that Gator, that four-wheeler in there.
Oh, so it's used like a Connex box.
Oh, yeah,
Well, it's what they were using to,
Yeah.
because they took care of closing the streets and stuff like that and had
Right.
all the information. So,
yeah.
okay.
It had the barriers in there too as well.
I still see people parking in that paved area between Elan Gallery and the Little Italy restaurant. They're still pulling up in there and parking. And also in the rear parking lot, what I'm seeing pretty regularly is cars parked in the handicapped unloading section, the hash marked part of the handicap parking. People pull in there and park.
On the backside.
Yeah, in the correct parking lot, but that's for unloading wheelchairs or whatever for
Right.
handicap parking, and people are parking that, essentially blocking that ability. So you ask about parking, that's what I've seen there.
Okay, okay.
That's a timing issue. Pull in and get out before somebody catches you, kind of thing, you know? And so, and it'd be hard to, it's a $250 fine, I believe, for non-tagged handicap. But I guess you've got to catch them in the
Yeah.
act to do it.
Right.
Cheryl, how the dumpsters been going? I drive by at least once or twice a week to see if we got any issues with the dumpsters. Doesn't,
Oh, I continue to send pictures to Sandy about every 2 to 3 days. And she says, thank you, I'll take care of it. Later that day, it's taken care
it's
of.
taken care of, right?
Yeah, because it's just, people still are, you know, they're leaving the gates open, so everybody's just putting all the stuff outside of it.
Yeah.
And she says then she'll get the truck to come and empty it, but then they got to have the city crew to come and pick up the heavy stuff that's
Right,
out
the
there.
loose items.
I told her, I said, if you guys look on some of the cameras, you'll know who the people are that are doing it, but a lot of it's done after we all leave too, that it's
Right.
dumped there and it's there the next morning when we get there, on the outside especially, so.
Good.
We're just all waiting for across the street to open.
Oh, the park, yeah.
Yeah,
I think they're getting close. Yeah,
it's coming.
it's looking good.
Anybody from the public? I don't know that there's anything to comment on. No.
Come on up. Yeah, yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Benavente. I live at 14 South Beach Street. Actually, Freddie, who's not here today, they live across the street from me more or less, so we know each other. Her husband and I fight for a parking spot all the time, so we like the same one. But in any event, first thing I want to do, I've been in Daytona Beach about 2.5 years now. Love it. We moved here. We wanted to live in a downtown area. Saw all the investment that y'all have been doing down here. It's just exciting to see all the things you're doing. Been a product of Central Florida since 1975 when I moved to the Tampa area. I've been in Clearwater most of that time, but my wife is from the Merritt Island area. And we've been in the Central Florida area for that long time, but we finally decided to make our forever home down here. We kind of like it. Because of that, we've seen a lot of different ways that folks have redeveloped and developed. I've seen Ybor City go from a terrible, terrible area to beautiful economic development. I've seen what they've done in Dunedin. When I first got to the Tampa area, Dunedin had one restaurant. I mean, you can't find a place to park a golfing cart there now. I mean, if you have a chance to go over there, stop in Dunedin. Economic development doesn't have to be on a beach. Okay? And there's a lot of resources on the beach that go into the beach. A lot of new developments going down. That's a big story and everything, but I'm excited to see the things that y'all are doing down here. I'm especially happy to see the work orders that you have going out to repair the damage that was done from the storm. I know the challenges you have from flooding. I'm curious if how much effort is being made to look at the flood study in Midtown. I see the boundary around that when I go to the websites for the Army Corps of Engineers and look at the work statement. It's a pretty defined boundary, but just because there's a ridge that runs along, this Ridgewood right here, it doesn't mean that there's not water flowing under the ground. I mean, our midtown, downtown flooding is connected to that. Never mind when the flood comes over the river, you can't stop that. But we know that there's rainy day, sunny day flooding here. I'm just curious if how much is being communicated there. That seems to be something that would be something that should be looked at. It's also, you mentioned something about the construction site appearance I assume you meant North Beach here crossing the
Yes.
Esplanade where it's now a brownfield. Good to see the development, like you're right. And it's also, you know, when you come downtown and you see the investment there, of course you want that construction site to look very nice. When people come north on South Beach Street, the first thing they see is the marina, beautiful view. You look across the street, Melee Apartments, construction site. Have you driven down there lately? It's an unsafe, it's not unsightly, it's unsafe for the residents. So that's part of downtown. So, you know, and that's a redevelopment. So I just would hope that the city would also pay attention to those. I know you are, just a reminder. Other than that, I'm really happy to be down here. I think the one thing I'm very curious about, I see how much investment you put into trails, sidewalks, so people can bike, move north and south. It's really, you know, all the way from Main Street down to South Daytona now, it seems like, right? Going past Bevel. There's one area, and I know you're trying to make the connections from City Island under the ISB, and those things are great. There's also the Bellevue connection. There's a little jog there that I'm curious how that's going to be handled. It doesn't seem like you have the rights of way there, and it doesn't seem like there's any room to go down Beach Street for that. Was it like 3 blocks or something like that? So I'm just curious about that one, because to me, that also, when I look at how Dunedin grew, it's the Pinellas Trail. The Pinellas Trail is what drove their growth. So biking, you know, walking, the beautiful Esplanade, and Riverfront Park, when that's finished, that's the other thing I'm curious about. I know that there's been setbacks again because of the storm and stuff, but that's, you know, one of the things, reasons that we came here was to see all the great things you guys are doing. So I just wanted to come down and thank you all, and just, like you say, you're looking for things. I walk the dog every morning from South Beach Street all the way up to Bay, and so I do see things. I see who's parking in the same parking lot you all are worried about, and I see those concerns, and we have issues with homeless folks on Beach Street, across from the marina as well, and we've relied on the city to come down and help us, and they've always been fabulous. I mean, it's very refreshing to live in a city where you get on the internet and ask them to look at a pothole, and they do the next day. That's very refreshing. So thank you very much, and just, again, that's all I want to do is some observations, say thank you.
The Blue Road, excuse me, sir. Oh, hello.
We're not,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
okay.
The Blue Road Bike Path Trail modifications, it's actually in our report
Oh, is it?
today, that it's talking about that the project cost, its conceptual design being in-house, and the cost is being developed now on doing that. It was, Public Works was asked to look at providing a clear separation from the travel lanes and the trail. Currently, one delineated by pavement markings and plastic delineations indications is that cars are crossing over the trail markings, creating a potential unsafe condition. So it is
Yeah.
on the staff reports.
And that was my concern, is that it would be very difficult unless you started making one-ways, and then that would change the traffic pattern on the south side of the fields, and that wouldn't be fair for the residents, when I don't think that's an option. And, you know, there's businesses there that have been there for years and years and property. But I'm very curious how, because that can be promoted, in my mind, something that's continuous of that distance is something that I think can be promoted and should be promoted, and that downtown can benefit. You can start in downtown and you can end in downtown, you know, and something that's continuous, and it's just good to see all are working on that. Thank you.
But I wanted to let you know it is in city hands.
Yep. Yeah,
Honestly, it just
as I say,
takes-
I look and I see things happening. That's what's exciting.
It takes a vision first to look at it on a macro scale. And that's where the conceptual plans are going. And because we have the Esplanade and the development going on and the big paths along there, and there were paths behind the News Journal Center, you begin to connect those.
Right.
Then you see where you have wide paths, and you see where you don't have the connections between. And the next thing you do is you look at right-of-way and funding. I lived in Port Orange for a number of years and working here, they had a great system of 8-foot wide bike paths all over the place. I'm seeing them downtown. Now, there's, you mentioned Bellevue. There's a big wide path near the pond. It doesn't, so it takes a while to run through urban areas and buy that right away and get that infrastructure put into place. But once one has a map, it's just like highways. You start putting the maps in there, and then they get funded, and it takes 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and then there's interchanges. Well, it's the same thing with the bike paths. So it's in the process. You're seeing a lot of cones going up on ISB now, on Beachside. So that DOT work is starting. So it's just probably Ken has got his finger on the pulse better than anybody because of, at least for all the redevelopment areas. So I appreciate your comments. It's nice to know that somebody's paying attention to them.
Oh, yeah, there's people paying attention. I can tell you, they may not be active. They may not take the time to come down here, but people, we talk
Well, you
up
can't
and
sit
down
in
the
the
neighborhood.
guard room and complain. You have to come, come talk to us.
Right. I'm sure you hear the complaints. But yes, thank you very much for the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Yeah.
It gives you another opportunity to weigh in on bike paths. All you need is money, right?
That's right, that's right. A little money.
Board
Little
comments?
money
Everybody's
and
pretty
time.
well spoken up already.
I had a question about the Bookland Bridge under the ISB from the Esplanade over to City Island,
Okay.
the underpass, I call it. It says on here the bids were due on July 28th. Did we get any bids on that?
I don't know.
We check on
We'll check.
with Public Works.
July
Yeah, that was a
28th,
public
that was
works
Friday.
project, so yeah, we can check to see if we got any responses to the RFP. Yep.
I'd also just like to express my disappointment in the closing of the Magnolia Street Market.
Well, it's gonna be at the Esplanade.
I don't see that being viable on a Sunday morning once a month. I don't think it was well thought out. I think it was done too soon. The Esplanade Market might make it really well once those apartments are built. But I don't think a lot of people are going to want to go on a Sunday morning, and once a month isn't really a public market.
If you saw the one or two people, and I know you've seen the one or two people that were at that farmer's market for so long. And I had to make the motion to say that the DDA had to cut the ties, and my dad started that. And I was a frequent person. When we moved, it just was not working. Everybody else going to other ones. The Esplanade has a great market that they already are doing crafts and stuff. They have tons of walkers. It will be a really good.
As far as I know, they don't have any produce vendors, though. And one of the issues is the food desert that we have downtown. There are no grocery stores.
We have not had a produce vendor forever at the Magnolia either, though.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're
Huck's
trying,
been-
and all
Huck
they're
is-
saying.
Huck was coming right up to the end. So was I. I was attending that market right up to the end when there was 3 people left with their booths. And one of those was always bringing produce, just to make sure that they had produce there.
Well,
So,
the tie-dye
and
lady
what
was
I
bringing-
feel
yeah.
is that nobody was trying to attract vendors in there. I think they systematically ran everybody out. But I'm really disappointed that that market is not going to be on Magnolia anymore. It was a thriving market right through COVID. So, and I just want to go on record as having said that. I'm really disappointed in this.
How many years had it moved from City Island over to Magnolia? 2 or more?
No, a lot longer than that.
Longer than that.
Yeah, because Melanie was with us 4 or 5 years or more.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and she came when it was over there. And before that, we had somebody else doing it when it moved. So it's been over there quite a while.
Because I live beachside on Peninsula, and I probably went to the market on City Island once a month at least. You know, sometimes during the summer for vegetables, once a week. And it was 4 parking bays wide. It was huge. And then, you know, I'm not sure what.
The bridge construction, nobody could see that it was down there. And when it was, you know, with that bridge,
You mean after the bridge was completed or
no,
during the construction period?
of it, during the
And so it
construction.
petered out during that time. I mean, that was my quick, easy route over too, was Orange Avenue.
Exactly.
And so then, and I thought Magnolia seemed like, logistically, a great place to put it. Real easy, you know, I work on Saturdays a lot, and it's always blocked off right there, and then I would see that it would shrink. It'd keep shrinking towards Beach Street, getting smaller and smaller. But then on Fridays, every so often, I'm not sure how often, there'd be the food trucks down there. So
Once a
you'd
month.
come in, you could have an event, so it seems like a location. You guys have got all the power stations set up, so everybody can hook in. And I hadn't heard that it's moving to Esplanade, but it just seems like, it does seem like that Magnolia Avenue it seems logistically to be a great place for it. And at least it's close to where it was before, so if somebody's coming to look, they'll find it. And you stick your signs up, you know, a few days ahead, farmer's market, so you know it's coming. So, and I don't pay attention to it. I guess that's in your venue with a downtown board, so you're seeing what's going on and where you're moving, and
We're
I'm
seeing
sure
how
you're
much we're
trying to keep
losing.
it
We're seeing how
active.
much we're losing monthly, yearly. I mean, it was just, I mean, what we
Well,
were
what do you
paying.
lose? You mean the vendors aren't coming in to lease space?
Paying for the
Right.
market
We had
manager
pay
to
for the
be
market,
there,
Pay for the
yeah.
So there's a
street
cost associated with the
closures.
city to have it open and the signage and put it up, take it down and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have 2 vendors now for produce over at the Esplanade. And we've had conversation with Joe Yarborough over at the Esplanade about looking at providing another date. And they've been exploring it, but on Saturdays, their vendors are elsewhere. Their produce vendors are elsewhere.
Oh, so it's gonna be a Sunday at the Esplanade.
Sunday morning, once
Yeah.
a month.
I got it.
Where are they doing it at the Esplanade? Is it close to the ranger station there, or where,
Yeah, I think it's going north, yes.
north of the ranger station?
So do
Not
the
north of
vendors
the
set up
Rangers.
along Beach
Yeah,
Street?
yes. Along the highway, yes.
You
Beach
set up
Street.
along Beach Street, not actually up in the Esplanade on the grass?
No, no.
Okay.
So it's going to be on Beach Street?
No, in the Esplanade boundaries. Yeah, not on the sidewalk, not on the street. It is actually
Okay.
within the
between Beach Street
compound.
So you park on the
bounds.
street, walk into the park,
Yeah, and into the park.
go buy
yeah.
your tomatoes.
So it's, you know, the crafts, it's a lot of different, you know, vendors. But they got 2 produce vendors.
But also now the Downtown Development Authority is what we were spending on advertising and all of that for the market. Joe has come in and been very open about bringing these last couple vendors in and giving them a space with no money or stuff like that. The rumors that were flying it was bizarre how much that the Esplanade was going to be charging the vendors, which never had come out. The number of people that just trashed the city and trashed the DDA and everything else. And then when we had public meetings, maybe 4 people showed up where the comments were all over for the Facebook page of downtown. And what we were trying to do is now, I mean, think about it, the city commission only voted on it this past week. We have been trying to have the city commission vote on it because we had a contract with the city of where the Downtown Development Authority and the farmers market would go and what we were able to do. So by the time legal got it and figured out, and then the city, and then it just kept getting pushed off. And so finally now we can start supporting the Esplanade, which we haven't been really able to in the past because we were still paying for it on Magnolia.
Gotcha.
So
So that
finally, this
budget
is
can
the
move
first
to-
month that we now, starting today, that we're now able to do anything
Okay.
with it, so.
I just thought it was a great venue. I enjoyed it. It's even when it was hot. And so, you know, admire those of you that are trying to keep it alive.
About 10 years ago or so, when the DBPA was still alive and kicking, we had a plan that I thought was a pretty good plan that was put forward by one of the girl that ran the market, Cheryl. I can't remember her last
I
name.
know.
Do you remember her?
I know exactly who she is. Well, she
Yeah.
had also gone to, because she had worked with Washington and she knew about grants and stuff like that. But that was also when we were trying to use the old Ivy's building and doing an inside market also and getting grants to do that. I mean, we've tried so many times in different ways to do it. We've tried Thursday nights. We tried even asking them to come with the food truck. You know, when Al's already got these people down there to do it, you know? It's not for lack of trying at all and getting new people in.
The plan that she brought to the DBPA was for City Island, and it was incorporating that little park area where the pavilion is that sticks out over the river. And I remember seeing an artist rendering of it. It looked like a really great idea. It was kind of modeled after Fairfax, Virginia. They have a really nice market there that has part of a waterway. And it looked like a really great idea, but I'm not sure whatever happened to that idea.
Well, it was more when the Cubs, which is now the Tortugas, though, were coming and with their parking.
Right.
And then with the reconstruction of the Jackie Robinson and things like that, and then the construction of the library. And then with the park having to be fenced more to keep the homeless out at night. So it just was a catch-22 that was in there that we weren't really able to do that. But you're right there on the river.
But what
would have
about
been.
now? I mean, now, none of those factors, the bridge construction, that's all over, you can come and go over the bridge, you can, Jackie Robinson's done, the parking lot's open, I mean, is there a restriction on that area, something that makes it not a viable space? I could understand why you moved it before if there was just too much activity going on over there and it just wasn't feasible, but,
But to go over there and
What
to
about
have
now?
3 vendors, maybe. The big produce guys that we've had for years, one died,
so do you have to
somebody
get the
else.
vendors first and then you open it, or do you open it and
Well-
then the vendors come? How does it work?
We've had it open and vendors haven't come. And Melanie had said she'd gone to Port Orange, she had gone to all these other farmers markets and tried to get people to come to
Yeah.
do it.
Right.
Okay.
And
Well, if you're
yeah,
not gonna get guys to come sell vegetables, you're not gonna have a farmer's
Yeah.
market. I mean, there's all these other ancillary things that you're talking about, the arts and crafts, and they had that over there too. And,
Right.
you know, you could buy kettle corn, you could buy jellies and jams and all kinds of interesting, nifty things, you know,
Yeah.
some woodwork and so on. But they had, I mean, so many tables of, if you didn't like this guy's jalapeno peppers, you had 2 or 3 other
Yeah.
guys to go
Yeah.
choose, and tons of them.
Yeah.
And if they're not coming in, then to me, that's the backbone of a farmer's market.
well, they're
That's what
having
it is,
they're actually having better facilities
somewhere else.
also, like Port Orange Pavilion, that's a really big one.
Right.
I mean, the
Right.
Esplanade is providing, excuse me, providing tents. You had to set up your own tent when you were on Magnolia if you had it.
Yeah.
And then
Or
they-
on the city island.
Or on City Island, and they were flying and, you know, everything else that was doing it. But the Esplanade has bought the heavier tents, and that they will be out there, and you will just go in, and that's part of your rent.
So now the trick
having
is getting the
tent.
vendors.
Again, is still trying to do that. And I really think it will be more than the one day on a Sunday that they're trying, but they just, you know, they didn't have any of our help until now. We're in August because of the not getting
And
it
Saturday is not an
approved.
option because those are prime days and they're already leased or used or whatever? Is that?
Well, the vendors is a driving force here. The vendors that they want are going elsewhere.
On
They're
Saturday.
already committed
Okay.
on
So the
Saturday,
space at the Esplanade would be available, but the vendors aren't.
according to what we got, yes.
Okay. Well, work it out.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're trying, not just,
What would be the possibility of looking at the master plan for City Island and kind of thinking down the road that maybe we could bring it back over there, we could maybe
Yeah, but if
take a
the
look at
vendors are,
that.
if the vendors aren't here
Well, you
on a
have to have a
Saturday,
good
then,
manager.
yeah.
You
you've
gotta
got-
have somebody that
gotta
goes
start
out
there.
and really tries to bring
It
vendors in.
seems.
You know, without a good manager, it's not gonna work. Because it's a lot, I remember Cheryl Kelly, that was her name.
Yes.
She worked her tail off. And I was on the DBPA back then, and so she reported to us then. And she was responsible for really getting it to the point that it was in like 2010, 11, 12, in that time. And it was big, but she had to work really hard to get those vendors.
And Melanie was paid nicely to work to do that also.
Yeah,
And she was, and then she was just hitting brick walls.
Yeah.
And it just was,
well, it's tough because the vendors have shrunk. There aren't as many of them anymore.
well,
And it's hard to get them to come when they can go to DeLand or Port Orange or Ormond.
I mean, yeah, with Orman on Thursdays, I mean, it's, so,
Or you can go to Perrines.
right.
I mean, you know,
Well,
there's
you
a
know,
lot of
they used to be a
competition.
vendor when we were over on City
Were
Island,
they?
before they opened their other stores.
The store,
They
yeah.
actually used,
And they, I
yeah,
mean,
they were a
my
big
gosh,
vendor
that
of ours
place is
over there,
packed with stuff.
yeah. So,
Well, that's probably part of the mix. Well, we got a lot of comments going there.
May introduce myself. I'm Kira Hans. I'm an assistant city attorney. I will be taking Ben's place, sitting with this board going forward.
Okay.
And I have an answer to the question about the multi-use path. The bid opening is actually not until tomorrow. So we'll know tomorrow how many bids, if any, we received.
Thank you.
And where is the multi-use path, from where to where?
What they're fixing is the wooden part that's underneath the ISB. That was the bid that was put out.
Okay.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah.
We look
Nice to
forward to
meet you.
seeing you. You're a lot prettier than Ben. If there's nothing else, we'll call for adjournment. Let's get a quorum next time. Yes. Stand adjourned.